Hey gamers, welcome back to a brand new DSP video. I want to discuss this new perspective I have on the Level 666 podcast and all of that has happened since then, because the further we get removed from that podcast, the more transparent and bullshit that whole stream becomes. Like everything else, you'll notice, go back during the debunk stream, right? When he did that 5 years of debunking or whatever the fuck he did in 2017 or 2018, whatever. No, 2018 or 2019, whatever. That stream where he said, "Oh, did this happen? No, it didn't." Whatever. The next day, he said, "Well, guys, now everyone sees me in a positive light. Everyone sees me as a cool guy now. And now the trolls are eating crow and they have to start from scratch again." That lasted like a couple days until DSP went on to say, "Yeah, nobody cared. I did that whole stream and like nobody cares. They still think of me as a scammer and an idiot and this and that because nobody was really blown away by his lack of evidence." Then he did that interview with the side scrollers. He then said that it was fair. It was a fair and cool interview that everyone can watch and enjoy. Then the next day, well, the interview was fine, but then the debriefing stream was bad. Then a week later, it became both were bad. Then a week after that, they were off. They exploited me. Whatever. They monetized the hate and all this stuff. Like it never lasts. He toxifies all these interactions he's had in the past. And this is the most recent one where he does a stream and he tries to convince everyone that he was not fooled. He didn't get tricked. He in fact was tricking them. But obviously nobody bought it. Not even his chat. Not even Rich. Nobody. Now of course his diehard fans probably didn't care, to be fair. But some fans were like, "Okay, this is a little much, man." And then they left. Like, I think Bloomkit left, Darziak left, all this stuff. So clearly, he wasn't getting the attention that he thought he was going to get, because I think he thought once he said that he was the king snake, either one of two things was going to happen. Nothing would change and everyone would kind of move on and not like talk about it. And the whole thing would be forgotten. Or two, people would the Aquino fans that watch DSP would say, "Wow, he's so cool. I don't think I'm gonna care that much about Kino Casino anymore. I'm gonna stick with this guy." But obviously that didn't happen, because in order for that to happen, it would actually have been believable. Because then, as I said multiple times, you look at what happened during that. What did DSP gain? Really nothing. Like, even when he was pretending to be someone, again, which was behavior he said was fucked up, and people who do that need to get help. He said this about so many people in the past that has pretended to be someone or LARPed or whatever in his life. But he was willing to do that with Kino Casino, and he sees no irony in that at all. So obviously nobody went along with that, and that I think kind of burned him a little bit. So he then went on from this king snake ego to then saying, "Well, actually, guys, they exploited me." He then tried to allude that PPP was trying to force him into doing content he didn't want to do. They sent him threatening messages telling him he has to do this or whatever. But he did the Level 666 podcast, and he did not even show that. He didn't show the DMs of PPP threatening him. He didn't even tell us that he was threatening him, like, at all. The most he told us was they tried to steer him to do stuff, which is a very general statement, because anyone could say that's what they were trying to do. But where were the threats? I didn't see any threats. And he's trying to get us to believe that he did that. Now, in order for us to believe that, he should have shown us that. To be fair, but as far as I know, that didn't happen. He then does smart guys on his own, and this is another clear example of why nobody should work with Phil. He starts bragging how this is the most successful smart guys, the most money he's ever made doing it, because now he doesn't have to split the revenue with someone else. So it's so successful, guys, which is a wild thing to brag, because first off, why would anyone want to work with someone who sees splitting revenue on a show that you both work on as a burden, right? Like if I were to make a lot of money doing something and the other person was contributing a lot to it as well, and to the point where I can afford to split the revenue, I would just do it. And then that would be it. And if that person leaves, that would be that. Whatever. I'm not gonna sit there and start bragging how much money I make now that I'm not splitting it. That's kind of disgusting. Uh, and and again, there were moments where PB allowed him to keep the money, so it's kind of disingenuous and not really fair to really talk about money in that kind of way, in my opinion, or make it to be the sole thing, right? Why make it about something? Like, why make people think about the money aspect of a situation? Uh, but the other thing that's very interesting about all this stuff that I'm starting to notice when I started noticing with these Smart Guys episodes is just how far DSP will throw someone out completely, no matter what. I mean, you saw that in the DMs as well, to be fair, but to put it into perspective, right? When a whale or someone who has supported Phil over the past, DSP no longer sees a use for, he will just throw them out like they're nothing, doesn't care. Look at King Jezel. King Jezel was a supporter. He was a true fan. He cared about the forums. He was concerned that everyone in the DSP community was going to get doxxed, and he was very concerned. And DSP didn't really do a good job calming him down or doing anything to tell King Jezel to not worry. In fact, I would kind of make the argument that he kind of made it worse by how he handled it entirely. But anyways, he throws King Jezel out and says that this guy lost his mind. The dude who was concerned about your own fans being doxxed lost his mind. Okay. Then you see a lot of mods that he had, and he threw them out. Didn't care about them once they outlived their usefulness. Iron Chef Sakai, he defended him for a while. Once he started saying that Lexi is a cool streamer and she squats, he's gone. Who cares about him? Despite the fact that he gave him so much money, and he was willing to apologize for the incident in December. Let's ignore that. He doesn't matter anymore. He dared to mention another streamer's name in my chat. Why would I care? Meanwhile, he told PvP in the same breath that he doesn't mind other people shilling their other streamers if they're friends or whatever, but doesn't understand that maybe Iron Chef Zakai could easily have misunderstood their relationship as them being friends. But the thing is, DSP has done this with so many people, and he doesn't want to acknowledge this problem that he's kind of, in a way, enabled and encouraged. Like, he doesn't really try to distance himself in any meaningful way until it benefits him to do so. And even then, it's not really cool how he does it. He does everything wrong. It's really, really weird. Because then he'll say, "You guys are not my friends, guys. Okay, my friends? Alright, I love you guys, right?" He says all this stuff and he just sends mixed messages. DSP is the king of mixed messages all the time. But he throws all these people out. Darziak. Let's talk about Darziak for a minute. Darziak left. He stopped caring about DSP after the snake incident. He logs in because he has login privileges to DSP Gaming and his channels. He can't delete anything, whatever. I talk about, I feel like he could have at least done something funny with the thumbnails or titles. Like, he doesn't have to break TOS, but he could have done something a little bit funny. Like, oh, let's change this to Phil's dumb gameplay and change the thumbnail to PewDiePie or something. Like he could have done something silly like that, but he didn't, which is whatever. What he did do was go to PWR's chat, talked in there for a bit, and then that was it. Now he did go on to say that DSP did pay him, but again, DSP paid him, but the money that Darzak was getting was also going to go to the video editor he was using. If he was using one, I'm not sure. I'm gonna assume he is, I guess, but because he uses a lot of AI. I don't know. Maybe there is like an a program that has AI. Like Adobe does that a lot, so whatever. But he pays a subscription service for an editing software, right? Uh, if DSP cared so much about splitting revenue and having to pay taxes on that, then shouldn't he also get paid Darzak a little bit more to cover the editor and his time? Because he did more than just editing videos. He played Minecraft, Mass Effect for him, whatever. At the end of the day, Darzak had all this time wasted working with DSP. He broke off. And what did DSP do? He didn't even say goodbye. Now, Darzak could have done way worse. He could have went on a lot of streams. He could have probably gone to that being said. He could have gone to he could have done his own stream saying, I'm going to expose DSP. But he didn't. He did what he did and then he moved on. And that was it. And nobody talks about Darzak anymore, basically. But what does DSP do once that guy is gone? Doesn't care. Let's not even name him. Let's not acknowledge he left. Let's not even acknowledge the work he has done for me. Let's just say that the editors are they're playing around a little too much, and they're all asleep or something. I don't remember what he said about why the thumbnails have slowed down or changed, or that there's no throwback content happening. Something like I don't remember his exact excuse, but it definitely was not at all respectful to Darzak, who spent all that time working for him for no reason, right? So doesn't care, expendable, and this is like low. This is stuff that you can expect him to do. With Kino Casino, it was completely like I have no use for these people. Fuck them. I'm just gonna like shit on them. Who cares? Like he completely was like trying to pretend to even care about any of the stuff that was going on between them. Like he wanted to highlight that they tried to force him to do stuff. Doesn't show the evidence for that. He doubles down on all this negative rhetoric about PPP and all this other stuff that it seeped into Smart Guys. So we did like 2 or 3 solo episodes, and they were whatever. I don't think anyone cared, honestly. And I think that kind of burned DSP a little bit. Not that they were like not successful at all. Maybe a little bit, but I think what burned him was that he tried to do the King Snake narrative. That did not work out for him, and he couldn't get Rich to go along and play ball. So he was like, well, how can I do this? Oh, well, Smart Guys is kind of floundering right now. It's kind of like mid. It's kind of whatever. What am I gonna do? Okay, I should reach out to other hosts. Even though I've said I'm fine doing solo, I'm gonna get a host. He reached out to 2 people that have had history with PPP: Ethan Ralph and Gabagool. The third person was Cypress TV. Fun fact: every time I've heard Cypress TV, my brain like autofills Cyrax. Every time I heard that dude's name, I was like, Cyrax? Like, oh yeah, DC modded Cypress TV. He modded Cyrax. What? And then I was like, oh wait, no, it's Cypress TV. Okay, Theo. DSP got Cypress TV on Smart Guys. He got Cyrax at Smart Guys. Oh, it's like it would always like my brain would always just assume Cyrax every time. I don't know why. Like every time, like I would be listening to a stream and he would say, "Oh, hi, Cypress TV." I'm like, Cyrax. So it is kind of like it tricked me for a little bit, but now I know for a fact Cypress TV is not Cyrax. Anyways, that was the only odd duck in the group, Cypress TV, because these hosts had a funny theme going. Ethan Ralph had a doesn't like Kino Casino all that much. Gets him on. Ethan educates DSP on PPP's butt picture. Then he has Cypress TV, who talked about the trolls all the time, which nobody cared about, not even DSP. And then we have Gahul, who was a former host with PPP on a wrestling podcast and has an opinion and was gonna enlighten DSP onto why PPP sucks and all this other stuff. Like, it's just a funny coincidence that all of these had a running theme going. Cypress TV just seemed kind of like I just need a round number. It's kind of like how he mods people. He mods a whale, but just so you don't call him out on modding whales, he would mod a random dude. Just a random guy that you never heard of that he says is a regular. Like, I think Cypress TV was that guy. Because I think he was modded alongside with Iron Chef Sakai at the time, and it's like, who the fuck is Cypress TV? Which is why part of me thought he was Cyrex, to be honest. So Cypress TV seemed to be that kind of role. Like, they're gonna accuse me of like getting people who hate Ethan. So I'm gonna get Cypress TV and say, guys, I wasn't looking for people who hated PvP. I just looked for people who knew wrestling, and yeah, two of them just happened to hate PvP. That wasn't an intention of mine, okay, guys? You can't say I planned this, because Cypress TV is a guest. So it just seemed to be like a thing to throw us off a little bit. But it wasn't a good... It was a good host in the sense of drama or like spectacle, but it was a good host in the sense that DSP had a little control over him in this situation. The other two could have gone any which way. But it's so obvious that that now that he has no use for Kino Casino, he's willing to do all this stuff that he would see as burning bridges. If let's say that anyone were to do this at DSP, he'd say, they burned their bridge, man. I was willing to reach out to them, blah, blah, blah. But the thing that's funny about this is the linchpin of this whole thing is that since Gahul is such an outsider, he's so easy to fool with this. He tells Gahul that PB freaked out. I told him I want to respect my family, and he demanded an apology, and he went crazy. But if you look at the DMs, the last DM where they broke up, that's not even what happened. What happened was DSP did call him out on PvP making fun of his wife, finally. Because the other times he apologized or just didn't really apologize or wasn't sincere about it. But he accepted them all the same, and he'd be willing to accept more apologies. See, this is the thing that blows me away. He has all these people who are frequent abusers of his goodwill. Then they would apologize, and then they'd let them back in all the time. Like, this has happened multiple times. Lice for Soul is the mascot for this. Lice for Soul was a huge contributor, shat on his community, saying that they're all autistic. He bans him, supposedly for that. In reality, he banned him because Lice for Soul was charging back his tips. Now, think about the time frame of all of this, right? He sends money to call his fans autistic, says that's fucked up, bans him. That's probably why he charged back his tips. But since DSP wanted to seem like he was a victim in the chargeback, it's just weird. The more I'm thinking about this, I kind of think that Lice for Soul charged back simply because DSP was shitting on him for so many times. Every time Lice for Soul would give him money, DSP would always give him a daily warning. That's how much of a bitch this guy is. So, this whole narrative that I really gave him an apology, he kept stomping on it because you allowed him. You did not give him a good reason to stop, at all. And then the only time you really stood your ground was when someone in chat told you to do it. Think about it. He said it had to be mentioned. He had to talk about it at the end of the podcast after someone asked him to address it. but it had to be mentioned. If I want to talk about something that I think is important to bring up, I say it at the beginning of every video. I say that immediately, so I don't forget about it. He sat on this for the entire podcast until the very end when someone brought it up. So just the narrative, just the nerve to even mention that DSP was so distraught by PPP's actions is just laughable, just off the bat. But you look at the DMs, he brings that up and PP says, you know what? If that's how it's gonna be, if this is such an issue, that's fine. Sometimes I go a little too far in it, and I can understand why that might be a turnoff for you. It is what it is. Bye. Like, it was an amicable end. All DSP had to say was, "Good luck, man. It was a pleasure, uh, working with you. Whatever." He then goes on his little podcast and does the 3 road bullshit, which causes PPP to then reply back in the DM and saying, "I just saw your podcast. You should apologize for wasting my time." Like, he even said, that Cat aside, like he didn't even care about that in this part of the conversation. He just wanted an apology from him about wasting his time, trying to get him a new audience, trying to help him with this and that. And DSP responds saying, "So this, do you say this because I want to respect my family?" But think about what you did on your podcast. That's what PP was complaining about, because he gave a 3 road option. The 1 road, he becomes a shill and he does markets all day, every day, and he tells you to buy things every day, and he's gonna be fake to you and hate himself. Or option 2, he becomes a drama streamer, says slurs, and then he hates himself and he's miserable and you're miserable. Or option 3, he plays video games, relaxes, laughs, loves, lives with everyone. Which option do you think he's gonna pick? And PB said that was a waste of time. Why go through the exercise of trying to get to do new content if you have no genuine interest in doing it, which was like shown in that segment. And DSP just glazes over that and says, "I am now apologizing to you, man. You should apologize about Cat." Which, by the way, they already talked about this in the DM at this point. Then DSP said that he should apologize to him, this, and then he can be back on Smart Guys. He doesn't go back on Smart Guys because PB doubles down on shitting on Cat. Which was gonna happen because look how things ended between them, right? Like, PPP went in just knowing he was gonna troll DSP, but the beautiful thing in all of this is just the fact that DSP can't even say that PPP approached him and got him and tricked him from the get-go. The beautiful thing is PPP just mentioned on the stream just offhand saying how he would love it if he could get DSP on his show and they will glaze him up and then turn on him eventually, whatever. Like, he said this on just a random stream. And then, just out of the blue, DSP reaches out to PPP. Like, he reached out to him. Like, it was like God was working in mysterious ways to get DSP on that path. It's so weird and funny because DSP can't even say in the situation that they reached out to him. He's the one that went to them. He's the one that opened the door to the cheetah cage and he walked right in. The cheetah is thinking, "Man, I want some meat. I want to eat meat. And the guy who feeds us is gone and we're probably going to eat later, but I want to eat right now. I'm fucking hungry. I see all these fucking people. I wish I could eat them, but there's a fucking cage." And then DSP just opens the door, walks right in, and then the cheetah's like, this guy just walked right in. Free lunch. And then he just eats them. Like, that's what happened. And then as he's getting eaten by the cheetah, he's like, "Why is this happening? I snaked this cheetah. He thinks that he got me, but in reality, he's eating me while I'm shitting my pants, so he's eating shit. Got him." That's the situation DSP has put himself in. So that's how funny it is that he can't even say that they reached out to him. He's the one that ran to them. and all this stuff, and he did this in the guise of trying to bait them. So when he got Gahul on, Gahul was so easily baited because he clearly did not follow the lore or even cared. He probably just heard little cliff notes here and there, or listened to what DSP described and said, "Wow, he made fun of your wife? That's fucked up." Ignoring the context, ignoring really everything that's been going on, because if Gahul really paid attention, he'd realize that DSP's a fake fuck the whole time. He, as much as he wants to say that they manipulated him or exploited him, he just as much exploited them, because he did the same thing. Even if you take out the DMs, the King Stick narrative, take all this out, and 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 this is what's going on, he'd still be fake with them. Look at all these instances when DSP is interacting with anyone else. There were streams when he was on Twitch. He'd be streaming on Twitch, minding his own business, being miserable, being sad, shitting on his audience. The second, either a chat another partner streamer entered his chat, or a Twitch moderator or a Twitch staffer shows up in his chat, DSP suddenly changes his attitude and becomes the fakest guy. It was really to the point where there was like, it's nowhere near as much as it is today, but back then there were some LARPers like Elon Jusk, Equilibrium, whatever. There was a running gag every time a Twitch partner or whatever would show up in chat. They would beg them not to leave because these would not act the same way. Literally, it's literally the whole thing when you're in an abusive relationship and then you have guests over and he can't be abusive to you, so he has to be kind so that these other people don't think negatively. Like, it's that kind of thing. Like that's how fake he is. So of course, even when he was on, everyone was saying when DSP was on Kino Casino, he's gonna be fake. He's gonna be like, oh wow, which he was, because no matter how you look at it, there's no way he was being genuine during that at all, or even cared. He didn't care what was going on, which makes it easy for him to say, well, when they taught me about Ethan Ralph, I didn't care. I was bored. But you did do videos shitting on Ethan Ralph, and then you joined in making fun of his shack, and it makes me really think, when Kino Casino was walking him through why people make fun of Ethan. I don't know what they were telling him, because I don't remember the stream very well. But after that, it seems all these he talks about is Ethan living in a shack in Mexico. And I'm like, does this guy think the only reason why people make fun of Ethan is because he lives in a shack? No. There's a lot of stuff going on in these people's lives that people make fun of. The shack is like the added thing. It's like, if a dude is an asshole, and then you find out that this same asshole lives in a cardboard box, you're gonna make fun of that. You're not gonna make fun of anyone else. No one will make fun of homeless people. But if the homeless person is a piece of shit and is doing shitty things, you're gonna make fun of that person for being homeless. You're not gonna make fun of a person who is like, who just happens to be homeless and they have a miserable life. Like that no one is gonna do that and be a good person in that regard. But people are making fun of Ethan for many reasons. It was not just the shack. But DSP doesn't really understand this, because he doesn't care. He doesn't care about other people's stuff, because he probably sees all this stuff as, this is their personal life, I'm not gonna like judge this or whatever. But if that's the case, it always goes back to why he spent time with this stuff here and there. So he has this aversion to drama. He doesn't like when other people have him on their show, and then after that, they would say shit like, he would say stuff like, oh, they had me on to exploit me. They had me on, and then they started milking the detractors, like side scrollers, and this and that. But then you look at what he's doing with Kino Casino, and it's the same thing. He starts doing hosts with smart guys. Two of the hosts are, they have shit about PvP that DSP is more willing to listen to now, because he doesn't like PvP. But again, he has also complained when people do this and they don't have DSP on to defend himself. That was half the reason, by the way, why he hated on Craig and why he was so demanding for Craig to apologize. Because, Craig, you did a stream making fun of me and you didn't have me on to defend myself. Don't you think that's fucked up and evil? But he did 2 streams, not even one. Like, Craig did 1 stream. The other stuff was him just literally watching DSP stream and saying, I just want to play Street Fighter with him. Let's just try to get him on. And bullshit like that. I mean, the rest of that is just bullshit. But he did basically one stream of him just shitting on DSP through that debriefing with these other people. DSP did 2 streams and a few podcasts after the Level 666 podcast of him shitting on PPP, having other people come on and like say things about him. Now, notice this. There's 2 things I've noticed. One, Ethan Ralph and the Gahul Smart Guys episode were on weeks where he had 2 days off right after. Isn't that kind of funny how that worked out? Because it seems to me that DSP would not want to do a stream with Ethan and Gahul where it's going to be obviously inflammatory to PPP, and that might trigger PPP to watch it and react to it, and he doesn't want to deal with the fallout, so he's going to take the 2 extra days to cope and to prepare to how to be the most boring guy on Sunday. Because I guarantee you, this Sunday's podcast, if you think the other podcasts are boring, this one will be the most boring. He's going to go mega boring. He'll tell you what he feels about the paint drying and the grass growing. He's going to tell you how that makes him feel. That's how boring he's going to go. And the most he'll probably say is, yeah, we did Smart Guys, we did some drama, but I just did it because I want to get this Kino Casino thing away. Put this in the rearview mirror. Even though he said this, like, after the Level 666 podcast. But since he couldn't do that with Rich fully, because Rich did not want to do it, he had to have done it with the others. Because, this is the second thing I noticed. When Rich did not want to do the Grill Kino Casino stream with DSP kicked him off the call, and the whole plan of, I'm gonna take these little coins from the suitcase and we're gonna felt them. That went out the window when Rich got booted because he wasn't gonna play along. So he had no one else to help him make fun of them because he was going to use Rich as a fucking shield. So if anyone were to come to DSP and say, Phil, why did you... Look guys, Rich said it, not me, okay man? And you look at the Gahool, the Gabagool stream, that's what it was. Because what did DSP really, like, Gahool said a lot of stuff about PPP. He was going on about all this stuff in the past, all this stuff. And all DSP said was, wow, that's terrible, man, wow. You know what, man, maybe he's depressed. Maybe there's something going on up here. And that's the most he talked about. That or like how he was the victim in the snaking and he knew he had to leave. Even though he said that, like all this weird shit about it. Like it just doesn't add up. Like he said he cased these people out. He wanted to get something out of them. And then he tells us here is that like they were exploiting him. And since when they couldn't get what they wanted, they were gonna turn on me. But again, look at the events that happened. A lot of it was welcomed by Phil. Notice that DSP didn't see anything during the Grill Phil segments. He allowed it to happen because he didn't want to say something that was going to drive PPP away. He didn't want to piss him off. So, it's all a load of bullshit. But he simply had Gahul on the show. Simply to just be a tool, a prop, if you will. Because if anyone were to call him out, he's gonna throw him under the bus. Gahul better enjoy the road once DSP's through with him, because he's gonna be a frequenter under the bus kind of guy. Because that's what he was there to do. Notice that all of that Gahul said was a little bit more inflammatory and a little bit more like would probably trigger PPP to kind of get a response out of, right? Like, Like, I don't think PB would just sit there and be like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, man. He's probably gonna, like, say this guy's fucked up or whatever the fuck he's gonna say. And then, like, what is DSP gonna do? Well, he has 2 days off, so, the urge to respond won't be there. And he'll say that this happened 2 days ago. Who cares? Like, he's gonna hit us with the banger, the who cares argument, because that's all DSP has going for him in this relationship at this point. So Gahul got tricked into thinking that he needed to stand up for DSP because how dare PPP make fun of his wife? Because that's what he was there. That's what set Gahul off to shitting on PPP because how dare someone make fun of someone's wife? But that is technically not even the final straw. Look at the final give and take. PPP literally had a problem with spending time with DSP when DSP had no interest in changing the content he wanted to do, despite DSP telling him he wanted to change his content. So what was that then? As much as Google wants to say how PB's a fake person or whatever the fuck he said during that stream, or how much you want to say that they were fake to Phil, DSP was just as fake. He pretended he was open to the idea of changing his content, and then said right after that, "I don't want to change my content. I like doing gameplay." Then and now again he's doing it again, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna change my content, guys. I'm gonna diversify. I'm gonna." It's all cycles and all opportunistic bullshit when it suits him. So Gahul was suckered in, tricked by Phil as always, to defend him and to give him dirt on PPP. This is stuff that DSP would say is bad if it was the other way around, right? Like he wouldn't like it if someone did this to him, correct? But but it's fine for DSP to do it because teacher, PPP was mean to me first, even though you went there first and you should have known what kind of content they're into, right? Like, and he said he watched them, so he knew they do drama content, and he went there knowing. So he can't play victim here. As much as he loves to, it's too late for that. He dug his heels too deep on the "I snake them" narrative, so deep he can't get out. And he's trying to be like, "I'm the victim, guys." No, 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 no. You can't. You can't be the victim, dumbass, stupid ass. And that's all it is. This whole stream was just a way for him to get dirt and gossip, shit that he would shit on. And he bragged. He bragged in the solo show how, yeah, he noticed that that now Spark is gonna actually be about wrestling and not drama like a certain loudmouth. But now suddenly we are okay with 3 of these episodes being dedicated to drama. Now it's okay. But not when it was about Grill Phil, even though he barely stood his ground and say, let's drop the segment. He just allowed it to happen. But he waited until PvP were left to then do this. So notice that this whole thing was bitch made from start to finish, right? He couldn't stand up for himself during the Grill Phil segment and allowed PvP to shit on him and embarrass him in front of his own audience. Got DSP to show off his underwear, do a little dance for him, and show us his feet. But he could not do that with PvP in his face. PvP was doing all this stuff at him in his face, and DSP couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything. He was a little baby. And then he waited until he kicked him off the show to then start doing all this other stuff that's gonna be inflammatory. Like, don't you think it's a little unfair that PvP can't defend himself directly to DSP and explain the stuff that Gahul is saying? Because what if Gahul is wrong? What if he's basing this off of happenstance or outdated information or stuff that he perceives to be true? Like, he's taken all this stuff at face value, but he would not extend the same thing if PvP did the same thing. If PvP invited Darziak or whatever to Kino Casino, do you think DSP is gonna say, "Oh shit, he had a point"? No, he's gonna say, "Oh, Darziak went on this guy's show just to get attention, just to do this." Like, everything DSP has done is in a playbook of an abuser slash assaulter. Like, this is the stuff that they always do when they're called out. They always say these people are crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. They're doing it for attention. Don't listen to them. Listen to me. But when Gahul is selling DSP about all his PvP, no question, he will believe it wholesale. And all he said was, "Wow, wow, that's bad. Wow, wow." Like, that's all he had to say about that. But then he said that when they were trying to enlighten him about the drama with Ethan Ralph, he said he was bored. He doesn't want to learn about other people's drama. But now he's willing to be an avid scholar on PvP's drama. A little hypocritical, but that's DSP. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand that, like, at all. It's so funny to me how much that this dude, like, falls in the same pitfalls that he claims other people do for attention when he does the same shit. But that's okay. That's innovative. That's meaningful, unlike what other people do, right? That is it for this video. I think that's all I have to say. I may do a video reacting to the Gahul thing, but I don't know. It's kind of, because I'll just say this: a lot of stuff that Gahul said could just be like, it sounds to me just glancing at what I've gathered from listening from Tevin's restream and there's a little bit of the Raw restream that I'm like 20 minutes in, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. Whatever. I'm not that deep into it, but it just sounds like to me it was more of just they had their own personal beef and they just could not work together anymore, and that's it. It was probably more meaningful in comparison by how DSP and PB broke up, where that was purely clown mode. This is probably a little bit more personal, I guess, in comparison, because also that Google talks about, at least from what I heard, it just seems like it was stuff that he doesn't believe in. Like, he said, like, this is the thing that's kind of funny. He said he's against e-girls. What does that mean? Because literally DSP has met two girls the same way. It's kind of unfair in this regard, right? DSP brings up how, yeah, for a couple of months I was talking to Kat, and then then she moved in, and then we had a relationship. So him talking to Kat online, that I guess kind of counts. And then when she moved in, then they started having a relationship. But PPP talks to a girl online a couple months. That can't possibly be a relationship. Like, that's not real. I understand the concern and skepticism and all this, like, but as I said, like, a lot of stuff that you're doing online, like, it's case by case, and it's really what you choose to trust and what you choose to act, right? Like, not everyone is an awful person on the internet. Doesn't mean that everyone is a nice guy on the internet either. But a lot of stuff, like you can be friendly to people, but you don't have to be like close friends with anyone, right? Like, you don't know who the other person's on the other end of the screen, but that also doesn't mean that you can't be friends. You can't make friends online. Like, that still happens. People make friends through online communities and all this other stuff. Like, that just happens. But again, it's case to case, situation to situation. It's all situational. But he mocks PPP for doing this, but it's like, how is that any different than how DSP met Leanna and Kat, right? They met the same way. The thing that's funny with DSP is that DSP does kind of believe in that e-girls aren't real and nothing on the internet is real or whatever, right? So it explains why he pretended to be single during 2017 when he was actually, in fact, talking to a girl and going steady with her, right? But he doesn't consider them together because she's not there in person, which is weird, right? Because that he talks to her for months, and then, but it only counts once she moved in. Isn't that kind of creepy? Like, you're talking to this person, yeah, they're flying out to pretty much date him during these like little mini vacations he was doing during 2017. It was to meet up with Kat and pretty much do dates. That's how they were dating. But he tells Gahul and acts as if their relationship doesn't count until she moved in. Because there was I don't know when he said this, but this was like during Christmas. He said, "Oh, I woke up on Christmas and I just felt lonely. Like I don't have anyone with me. Yeah, I have my girlfriend, but like she's not here." It's like, so you could talk to her online and all this stuff. I mean, she's already gonna be moving in, and you're already acting as if like she doesn't exist, like she's not real anymore until she moved in. Like that's just a weird way to act, and it kind of makes it sound as if like he was dating her when she moved in, which is kind of like I would say a red flag in my opinion, because you should not be putting yourself in a position where you're dating someone you don't know who they are, and you're gonna move in with that. Like, like don't you think that's a little weird? But they were talking with each other throughout the year of 2017, so I mean, it could technically make sense for her to move in within a year. It depends. A lot of people were also giving him shit for saying that he's moving way too fast with this woman, because I think like right after that he got married. So it's like, you gotta rush through this. Uh, Speed run their relationship, because all good relationships are always done when you speed through, right? Everyone relationship, when they run to get married, they run to have kids. It's always a happy couple, right? Always. Uh, but yeah, he does that. But he's shitting on PvP for meeting a girl online, and doesn't consider that would be a real relationship, and acts as if he doesn't understand that. Dude, you talk to people online for a living. You do you, do you think that when people are watching you, they're not real? I mean, they're real people. Yeah, they may act not real and they may act silly, but I mean, come on, come on, right? So so that's like one instance that I just think that a lot of it is just their own personal beef for whatever reason. But DSP is listening to this because he hates PvP right now. He hates PvP right now that he wants someone to shit on him. Like that's literally what Rich said he did back then when he saw them shitting on Rich. He was like, I gotta talk to these guys, and then he did the react. It's just ridiculous how Gahul wants to go along with this narrative because he probably doesn't know any better. Because this is the one thing DSP is very good at, or very lucky, I guess I should say, is that a lot of people really waste giving the benefit of a doubt on a person who doesn't deserve it. Like, I can understand that some people may not want to assume the worst of Phil. I can understand that in a normal conversation, but uh, he just doesn't deserve it. Eventually, one way or another, you're gonna eventually realize this guy sucks, and it's gonna be too late because he already got what he wanted from you. Because that's what all this is. These smart guys episodes, all of this is just a tool, just a means for him to get what he's looking for. You couldn't get that with Rich, drove him crazy. I guarantee it was biting him in the back of his head, like he didn't go along with it. Oh my god, like it would have been so good. Oh, like because that's probably what was driving him crazy. And then he did this, and now he probably feels more whole or complete. Like it's like an OCD response almost. And I'm willing to believe that's what's going on because it's such bullshit. This whole thing it's such bullshit, and it's been getting nothing but worse, and it's only gonna get worse. The further we go from the level 666 podcast, that narrative is gonna be warped so much. By next year, when people go back and rewatch it, they're gonna say, "This is insane. There's nothing honest about this," because he lies. Like, how can we trust him? Again, this is the dude that said that did a stream, said that he lied to us about WWE champions for 7 years, and then said in the same stream that we can now trust him for being honest. In the same stream. But then when Iron Chef Sakai comes around after the thing and with Medicare, he had to work hard to just be allowed back into the kick chat. But with DSP, the day he tells us something that we already know, we have to accept that he's now honest from then on. Because he told us that, dude. Even though he was pressured and he was put in a position where he couldn't avoid it, but we can trust him now because he'll never lie again. Oh wait, no. After that, and then 8 months later says he lied again. So why should we trust this guy this quickly, right? Why does everyone else have to bend over backwards, put in all this work to gain his trust, but he doesn't have to put in the same work to gain anyone else's trust, right? He had people telling him that nobody cares about him spending money on champions, and he kept assuring us he didn't play champions. To then say he did. So, okay, I'm sure he's gonna find people that are gonna say, Phil, I don't care if you have birds. I don't care. And he's like, I'm glad you don't care, but I don't have birds, dude. I don't have birds. This is a stupid detractor meme. And then 7 years from now, when the bird fucking dies finally, he's gonna say, I did have birds. I did have birds, actually. Because, he can say it now. And then when that happens, we'll have to believe him again. Like, this is the way that DSP works, and it's a childish mindset where he thinks, oh, okay, I told you the truth, so now you can believe me again, and this time I can lie, and they have to believe me because I did tell them the truth, so they have to believe me now. So I could say whatever, and they're gonna have to believe me because I did tell the truth, and that's the president, which is like not how that works. Once you break trust, you kind of have to build it back. You can't just get it back. Like it's not a video game where you could just kind of hit reset and then win the game, basically, or whatever, whatever example you want to use, and that's how he acts, and that's all this is. This is him just trying to like get a one up. Then, if people start pressuring him about this, he's gonna use Gahul as a shield. He's gonna hide behind that and say, "Well, Gahul's the one that said all this stuff," because again, Gahul mentions all this stuff about PvP's past. All these people said was, "Wow, that's bad. That's fucked up. Maybe there's something wrong in his head." That's the extent he said. Meanwhile, Gahul said far more incriminating things or inflammatory things about him. So if anyone were to say that this is a dramatic episode of Smart Guys, or they really burned PvP or whatever the fuck, GSP's gonna deflect and say it was Gahul, not me, dude, okay? He's the one that said it, I didn't say it. Because he doesn't want any responsibility. He's the one that invited him on in the first place. So it, as much as he could say that Gahul is the one that said these things, he's the one that platformed him and had him say these things in front of an audience. Like, that is part of his responsibility as running a show. And shouldn't he kind of steer Smart Guys to talk about wrestling? You know, the thing he was bemoaning, how PvP was derailing the show, but now he's also derailing the same show. Like, I literally, like, I was about to go to bed, I was brushing my teeth, I put on Devin's Restream, and it's like, he's still going through, like, the Gahul segment about PvP, and it's like, are we gonna get to the wrestling? Like, I thought this was a wrestling podcast. He complained when PvP derailed the stream, but now we're derailing the stream for this, all to suit his needs. So that is it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the next one, whichever that may be. By the way, I did upload a podcast on my other channel. It has nothing to do with DSP or anything like that. It's just me shooting the shit. So I'm gonna see how that goes on that channel, and I'm gonna see should I upload that to another channel or what? Because I want to see like the reach the other channel could get. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.